Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Governor DeSantis, let me begin with you on this one. Speak to Republican voters who are supporting Donald Trump. Why should you and not him be the Republican nominee to face Joe Biden a year from now?
Okay. All right, I'm going to stop it there, okay, because we're going to go through. This is like hi, we're the moderators. We have a question. We have lots of questions. Why not Trump? Okay, go explain yourself.
Now, if you look where we are now, it's a lot different than where we were in 2016. And Donald Trump's a lot different guy than he was in 2016. He owes it to you to be on this stage and explain why he should get another chance. He said Republicans were going to get tired of winning. Well, we saw last night, I'm sick of Republicans losing.
You know, everybody wants to talk about President Trump. Well, I can talk about President Trump. I can tell you that I think he was the right president at the right time. I don't think he's the right president now.
We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It's a cancer, the Republican establishment.
It's Trump.
Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party.
As President of the United States.
Okay, let's just stop there. So I want to play the rest of Smarmy's answer there because it got really ugly really, really fast last night. I mean, it ended up devolving into, you know, the most amazing name calling that you ever heard in your life. I mean, it was almost time to actually put them on a tape delay because you have to bleep the Republican candidates. The amount of name, I mean, you're all scum is basically Nikki Haley's message. And I would be better than Trump because I'm an accountant. I don't know what that is, but it was really ugly. It got really, really into name calling really quickly. Okay. Ron DeSantis, all he did was, you know, like every single cliche you ever heard in politics, repeated it like ad nauseum. Alexander Petrie, she was doing what I was doing. She was writing down every damn cliche that was being said last night. And Ron DeSantis, she wrote, I'm just going to quote her article because it's unbelievable. This is Ron DeSantis speaking. She said, for my opening statement in this debate, I will offer a speed run of every cliche uttered in politics since the dawn of time. Elites look down on you. I will fight for your family. Actions speak louder than words. So please imagine that the rest of my debate performance is an action. I will take all the arrows and slings. I will take it for you. I am not clear on how archery works, but I will take all the slings and arrows. I will prevent us from spiraling into a decline. If we move toward decline in any other manner, I can't help you. I only know how to stop spiraling. The artificial intelligence that wrote this speech said you would cheer after I said that. Cheer, everybody. I mean, that's how bad it was. That's how bullcrap this thing was. And, you know, the clown show, it was fun. I mean, I would be lying if I didn't tell you I laughed my freaking silly butt off because, I mean, I'm looking at the news that came out right after the debate, okay? Biden and Blinken and the whole crew over there, okay? Austin, they are magical. They are amazing, man. So they have to deal with the Donald Trump of the East over there, okay? They have to deal with Donald Trump in the Middle East, who is an extremist. He is racist. He failed miserably, and now he has to sort of, you know, make himself feel good by killing more things. Oh, by the way, they spoke about killing things. It was insane. It was crazy, this debate. Okay, but here's Biden and Blinken and the whole like American defense crew, the whole State Department fanned out across the globe, dealing with a terrorist organization on one side of the table, and on the other side of the table, the Donald Trump of the Middle East. And he and they were able to get, oh, this is amazing, a 4-hour daily pause every single day so that you could get aid in and get it distributed, get hostages out if that's what Hamas wants to do, right? And get people who are in harm's way out of harm's way. Yesterday, 500,000 people were evacuated from northern Gaza. Just saying. So, and then to listen to this trivial crap, it was comic relief is what it was. It was it was almost satire of politics. It was like parody of politics. It was almost like watching Saturday Night Live with perfect casting. Do you know what I mean? It was so unbelievable. Let me just show you something in case you missed it. This was Vivek Ramaswamy's opening, okay? This was like right at the top, and that's why I played the little bit at the top, just so you know that it was an introduction of Lester Holt, Kristen Welker, and Hugh Hewitt, okay, as the moderators. And then directly it said, hello, you're here. We have questions. Why you and not Trump, right? And this is Vivek Ramaswamy's entire answer.
We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. There's a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over.
Didn't you think right there he was going to say since Donald Trump lost 18, 20, 22, and now yesterday? No, Ronna McDaniel.
As chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk.
Oh,
we
my
got 10
God.
times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it.
What?
And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Asking the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years. Was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Ross.
Sorry. This is how we get our country back. We need accountability.
Please, Donald Trump, pick me for vice president. Please, please, please. I will insult Kristen Welker. Kristen Welker is the object of your ire? Really? Comparing Kristen Welker to Greg Unfunny Gutfeld? Honestly, I don't even know. And we were off to the races, man. I was like, holy crap. I really thought for the brief second that he was declaring that his party is a party of losers and demanding accountability, that he would say Donald Trump is a non-starter. Donald Trump carries absolutely no part of the Republican Party to the benefit of the Republican Party any longer. Donald Trump is on trial every single day. Donald Trump is, he's got his kids testifying against him. America sees this. Okay, they understand that he's not viable. They know that he actually encouraged, if not, organized an insurrection. Everybody understands Russia helped Donald Trump win and that he was going to give Ukraine to Russia, which is why we still won't send money to Ukraine, because he's still got a chance to give it to Russia. And that's whose side we're on. I really thought he was going to go there, but instead he attacks Kristen Welker. Like, what the? Dude, how smarmy are you going to let yourself get? Do you have any, bright red line that you won't cross in order to lick the boots of Donald J. Trump? Holy crap. It got to a point where, especially Vivek, he's just saying words. That's all he's doing. I mean, none of what he said made sense. Like, he would just say words. It was almost like a magician, where he would show you this hand, but really everything was going on back here, It was just so bad.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Okay, this was the question about whether or not you support Ukraine and aid to Ukraine, who is fighting Russia.
Ukraine is not a paragon of democracy. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties. It has consolidated all media into one state TV media arm. That's not democratic. It has threatened not to hold elections this year unless the U.S. forks over more money. That is not democratic. It has celebrated a Nazi in its ranks, the comedian in cargo pants, a man called Zelensky, doing it in their own ranks. That is not democratic. More facts for you that you won't hear from the mainstream in either party or the mainstream media.
Because they're not true.
The regions of Ukraine that are occupied by Russia right now, in the Donbass, Luhansk, Donetsk, these are Russian-speaking regions that have not even been part of Ukraine since 2014, that other people probably couldn't name those provinces for you. Those are the hard facts. And so to frame this as some kind of battle between good versus evil, don't buy it. And I'd like the likes of the sharpest of the war hawks on Ukraine, Nikki Haley, to have some accountability and answer. Do you want to use U.S. taxpayer money to fund the banning of Christians? That is actually what's happening. They're using the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. They have banned them. The Ukrainian parliament just did this last week, supported by our dollars. And I think you owe it to the American people, Nikki, to at least this one time at least condemn.
Thank you. That's time.
At least to condemn their banning of Christians.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
or else
thank
we're talking out of both sides.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
None of that is true. Zelensky, the Nazi thing, I mean, come on. Do we have to say it again? No, I'm not even going to go there. This is such garbage. This is like it's like word salad. Like I said, he just says words now, and it's all words designed to make you want to give Ukraine to Vladimir Putin. What was banned in Ukraine was the Russian Orthodox Church by the Ukrainian Orthodox Church because the Russians used the church to spy on Ukrainians and spread Russian propaganda in Ukraine. That's what happened. Now, I think we all know what religion, Volodymyr Zelensky is. And I think that we know in the Middle East who he has said he supports. Okay, and it ain't a terrorist group. So this is so crazy. This is like, please, Donald Trump, pick me for your vice president. I will help you give Ukraine to Russia. I will trash. You know why they went after Nikki Haley? Or he went after Nikki Haley? Because Donald Trump feels threatened by Nikki Haley. That's why. And Vivek was sent out last night to trash her as being, somebody who is anti-Christian, which is really rich because, honestly, the two of them are both from the same ethnic background, and it's just so horrendous to listen to them go after each other in this manner. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I really, and here's her answer, okay?
I am telling you, Putin and President Xi are salivating at the thought that someone like that could become president. They would love to see
The fact of the matter is she doesn't answer
So this
the
is what I will tell you.
We're driving Russia into China's hands because of these foolish policies.
You had your time to talk. The ambassador has the floor.
Thank you. The first thing I'll tell you is we all remember what that thug did when he invaded Ukraine. We all know that 500,000 people have died because of Putin. And here is a freedom-loving, pro-American country that is fighting for its survival and its democracy. No, I don't think we should give them cash. I think we should give them the equipment and the ammunition to win. And I'll tell you, if Biden had done it when they first asked for it, this war would be over. But let's also remember this. When you left Afghanistan in shambles and left them with a ton of weapons and money, it's not that we left, it's how we left. Yeah. When you look at Ukraine, don't think for a second, now everybody wants to move away from Ukraine. They'll want to move away from Israel a year from now. America can never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends. After 9/11, we needed a lot of friends. Now is the time to get partnerships. This unholy alliance between Russia, Ukraine, and China is real. There is a reason that Taiwanese want us to support the Ukrainians. It's because they know that China's coming after them next. There is a reason Ukrainians want us to support Israelis, because they know that if Iran wins, Russia wins.
Ambassador.
We have to see the combination of the three.
Okay, almost everything she said, I would associate myself with, except that she made a mistake when she said the unholy alliance. It's not Russia, Ukraine. and China. It's Russia, Iran, and China, but that's okay. That was just a misspeak. That wasn't, anything that you could, say, oh, well, that defeats her argument there. What I will say is the argument about how we got out of Afghanistan is defeated by the Doha Agreement. Now, where is Doha? Qatar, right. That's where everybody now goes to negotiate who gets what pieces of land in this world. It's very fascinating. However, in Doha, Qatar, that is where the Trump administration agreed to hand Afghanistan over to the Taliban on May 15th. It was a date certain, and it was set. And Donald Trump then took all the troops out of Afghanistan, sans 2,500 of them. So here was Biden having to decide whether he wanted to put more troops in Afghanistan or just end it, because it was already a date certain that there was going to be a handover. The Taliban had won because Donald Trump gave the Taliban Afghanistan. And so Biden said, okay, we're going to get out. We're going to get out. There's already a date certain. There's an agreement. We have 2,500 troops. Let's get them out of there. And 13 of them were attacked by a terrorist, a suicide freaking bomber. And the same people that are sitting here talking about, we have to support Israel, okay, are trashing Biden for a suicide bomber. It makes no sense. But she's right about the unholy alliance, the axis of evil, if you will. There is an axis, and they want to redraw the world order. They want to destroy NATO, and we all know who that they is. It's China, Iran, and Russia. They are not part of NATO. Donald Trump was going to destroy NATO for Vlad. He pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, which was a good thing, because we got inspections, because we had some transparency, and because we were able to work with a country that, if we didn't work with, would do this. You know that we had to, the Iranian proxies, you got Hezbollah, which is 100,000 strong. I don't know if you understand that terrorist group is really, really huge. Okay, but we had a drone shot down by Iranian proxies, a Reaper drone. It's like, multiple millions of dollars worth of a drone. Our troops have been, lobbed, small ammunition, small. Hey, listen, if you're standing outside on the ground and somebody, throws one of those bombs at you, you're going to get hurt 41 times. So last night we had to actually, retaliate and go after an ammunition depot so that they would stop shooting at our soldiers. But I mean, honest to God, these people, this Vivek Ramaswamy guy, whatever, I cannot believe that he's defending Russia and saying that Ukraine is headed by a Nazi to do it. Where Nikki Haley clearly points out, Putin is salivating. He would love to see Vivek be president of the United States. He would also love to see Donald Trump as president of the United States and Vivek be his vice president.
Call in, connect. Speak to Randi. Call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Okay, this is my favorite part.
How do you get TikTok banned if you use it?
Well, I want to laugh at why Nikki Haley didn't answer your question, which is about looking at families in the eye. In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter out of your voice.
Adult daughter. The next generation of Americans are using it. And that's actually the point. You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine. Here's the truth.
You're just
the easy answer is actually to say that we're just going to ban one app. We got to go further.
You're just scum. Okay, so I fact-checked the debate last night, and it is true that Vivek Ramaswamy is scum. That is a fact-checkable item, and it is true. It might have been the truest thing that anybody said last night. Describing him as scum is probably the nicest thing you could say about him and still be honest, okay? In fact, if you look at the entirety of the offerings last night, sans without Nikki Haley being in that group, and Chris Christie, who just at the end was so exasperated, I'm just tired. Would somebody please make Donald Trump show up? Because the reason why I'm here is to call him names, and he won't show up, and I'm just so tired of waiting for him to show up. Other than that, there is no purpose for me to be on this stage. I am never going to be the nominee of this party. I will never be president of the United States. Definitely not in this cycle. Definitely not. And so I'm just exhausted over here waiting for Guffman. That's what I'm doing. I'm waiting for him to show up. I got all these barbs. I got all these names I want to call him. She gets to call Vivek scum, and that would be true. But when do I get to, call Donald Trump out? It's very pathetic. It's a very sad, sick thing. That we have a Republican debate that is taking place without the likely Republican nominee who was down the road from them last night in Hialeah having an unhinged freaking rally in a place that only holds 5,000 people. I think the total number of seats in the place that he was at last night in Hialeah, Florida, is 5,200. And he stood on the stage last night and said something about, being here in front of tens of thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people, whatever. I mean, it's garbage in, garbage out. And this is what their party has devolved into. And poor Nikki Haley, who at least has some class and is not unintelligent and doesn't talk in word salad. I may disagree with her on almost every position she would take, okay? The idea that the Doha Agreement could be ignored, and she's the former UN ambassador when she talks about Afghanistan and the withdrawal, that to me is unacceptable, okay? That is, lying by omission. That right there. And also her thing about abortion. So here's how she's parsing it, which people loved in the Republican Party because they know that the abortion issue is the dog that caught the car. They know it's an unbelievable negative thing for every single American who votes. Nobody wants the government in their bedroom. Nobody wants the government in their doctor's office. Nobody. Just leave us alone. Let us manage our pregnancies. Let us actually get the health care that we require to have a healthy pregnancy. And if it isn't a healthy pregnancy, let us make the difficult decisions that have to be made. I mean, I think most Americans get that now, and that people like me who were telling you that this would be the result if they ever went after a woman's right to choose, that women would die, that women would have to carry pregnancies that were not viable, that women would become septic, that women would give birth to, fetuses that live 4 hours outside or 4 days outside of our uterus and suffer and die a slow, miserable death. And that has happened. And the people who are so worried about the children know that. And so Nikki Haley's position that she staked out for herself in obvious, debate prep is that we shouldn't lie to the American people, not about abortion. But you know how everybody was saying after this massive loss in Ohio, this massive loss in Virginia of the entire state legislature, right? Every place where it was even, tangentially adjacent to a ballot abortion, if, the Democrats prevailed. And so she needed to, and their answer for that was, we have to find a different way to talk about abortion, don't we? We have to find a new way to trick people into believing that a ban on abortion is a good thing for them. We have to find a new way. She found the new way. You know what the new way is? She said, let's not lie to the American people. We don't have 60 votes in the Senate to pass a federal ban on abortion, which is my preference. She actually left that part out. But she said, we don't have 60 votes in the Senate to pass a federal abortion ban, so why are we pretending that we do? Let's not lie to the American people. So she staked out her verbiage on the failing, losing abortion issue. Most people want to be left the F alone. I mean, libertarians, for God's sake, they don't want any government, but they're going to embrace the idea that the government is making decisions in your reproductive life. That's what I could never understand all these years. And now they get it too. They're slow, but accurate. They get it too. So, so he ends up calling Nikki Haley scum because this is what Donald Trump wants to have happen. You know, this is the sloppy seconds, race, right? This is to see if so if Donald Trump, for some reason, isn't on the presidential ballot in 2024, for whatever reason, either because, look, I'll show you this. Minnesota, the court in Minnesota yesterday punted on the question of whether or not a person who engaged in an insurrection against the Constitution, it's not the United States, it's an insurrection against the Constitution, or gave love, aided and abetted anyone who engaged in an insurrection against the Constitution, can be on the presidential ballot, can be eligible to be president, right? And so Minnesota, they found their language. They found their little niche in the law. They punted and they said, well, there's nothing in statute anywhere that talks about a primary ballot. And so for the moment, we're not going to be able to do anything about keeping him off the primary ballot, the Republican primary ballot, because there's nothing that says that a primary candidate who engaged in insurrection against the Constitution can't be on the ballot. But if he should win the primary and become the presidential, we'll revisit it. So that's how Minnesota parsed it. Colorado, it's still a live question. We'll have to wait. But that's what Nikki Haley did with the abortion thing. She parsed it almost to death. Almost to death. We don't have the votes for a federal ban.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
TikTok is not only spyware, it is polluting the minds of American young people all throughout this country, and they're doing it intentionally.
In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter out of your voice.
Your adult daughter. The next generation of Americans are using it.
As much as I'm pro-life, I don't judge anyone for being pro-choice, and I don't want them to judge me for being pro-life. So when we're looking at this, there are some states that are going more on the pro-life side. I welcome that. There's some states that are going more on the pro-choice side. I wish that wasn't the case, but the people decided.
We need a 15-week federal limit. 3 out of 4 Americans agree with a 15-week limit.
But don't make the American people think that you're going to push something on them when we don't even have the votes in the Senate. It's important that we're honest about that.
So that was a nice parse job. That was really well done, whoever she paid to find the niche, to find the, exploitable lane on the abortion issue. As a pro-life person from South Carolina, did a very, very good job. Very good. That was something that apparently the Republican focus groups all over the country that were watching responded immediately to. That's who we want. We want her. We want her. She figured it out. She figured out how to stop the losing. She figured it out. So, all right, Gary in Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
I think you owe an apology to scum. But, it's so obvious that this guy wants to be the vice president. I'm wondering if him and Trump already have this worked out.
Well, obviously, there's no loyalty on the part of Donald Trump for anybody to do anything on his at his behest or on his behalf. So that, you'd have to wait till the last possible second to find out whether or not that was the deal. However, it's obvious Vivek thinks that that's the deal.
Well, that's what he wants. Yeah, I always figured he'd want a woman like Carrie Lake or something along those lines.
Another election denier. Yeah, that would be fun. But honestly, Vivek is auditioning full frontal, full blast. Now, DeSantis, on the other hand, who was screaming, "We have to kill things" last night.
Can you believe that?
Oh, my God. He wanted to shoot people at the border. I got to play this clip.
It's like he wanted to kill somebody right that second.
Right that second. He just needed to kill somebody to, prove he was crueler than the cruelest of the cruel, right? Because that's what the bona fides are in that party, is like willingness to be the cruelest of them all. It's
and the audience was rabid. They
whoa,
were foaming at the mouth for it.
I know. It was really scary. It's really sick.
It is. It's like a Nazi rally when you see those films of Hitler.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it really is. It's frightening. But, so you say to yourself, well, he knows he has no chance to be vice president. Why is he doing this, right? He's doing this because if Donald Trump, for some reason, I got off in the Minnesota story in the last segment, but if for some reason, they decide that while he can be, on the primary ballot because he's running for the nomination, not for the presidency, he can't run for the presidency, he's ineligible, then DeSantis wants to be the next guy in line. That's why he's threatening to shoot things.
Yeah, we better head for the hills when that happens.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Every hillbilly with a gun's going to be out looking for blood.
I half suspect that they are already hunting women in Texas, with the vigilante 10,000, reward for finding a pregnant woman or finding somebody who helped a pregnant woman. Yesterday we were talking about that woman in Mississippi, the attorney general there, Fitch, who was the author of Dobbs, right, and argued the Dobbs case in the Supreme Court, right, she got reelected yesterday, and this has empowered her because now she's saying not only is she proud that she did this, but she now wants to, as Attorney General of the state of Mississippi, she wants to be able to violate HIPAA, right, the privacy laws for health care. And she wants to be able to subpoena states where abortion is legal to see if a Mississippian went there and got an abortion.
Now that's really doing your job. That's what we need.
It's who they are.
God.
I know. So let me just play you DeSantis threatening to shoot people at the Mexican border. Now, Vivek, I will say, he went even further. You're like, how much farther than shooting things can you go? Well, I'll show you.
We're going to authorize the use of deadly force. We're going to have maritime operations to interdict precursor chemicals going into Mexico. But I'll tell you this, if someone in the drug cartels is sneaking fentanyl across the border when I'm present, that's going to be the last thing they do. We're going to shoot them stone cold dead.
He's been practicing that all night. I mean, he was probably practicing that all, for weeks now. Stone cold dead, stone cold dead, deader than dead, stone cold dead. Which is better, deader than dead or stone cold dead?
Every time he gets a chance to threaten somebody's life, he takes it.
Yeah.
Last time it was a hurricane. Now he's on the debate stage talking about shooting people. He's such a little man.
Extrajudicial killings. He's very Duterte, okay? It's very Filipino. It has nothing to do with the American way of justice or life or liberty or the pursuit of happiness. Nothing at all. But nobody on that stage dared to talk about the demand side of any of this fentanyl issue, okay? It's just killing things. We just must kill. Fentanyl is killing people, so we must kill the people that, actually are making the fentanyl, I guess, is the theory there, eye for an eye, tooth. But, we are making so much progress on the demand side in this weird way. So that there's like vitamin O now, right? You know what that is if I say that to you. Vitamin O. It's Ozempic. And every woman who has an extra 5, 10, 15, 40 pounds, we all know about it. And we all know somebody or everybody that's doing it, okay? That's using Ozempic, which is a diabetes drug, or Mounjaro, or there's another one, We Go, or what is it called? Do you know?
I thought it was Jardiance. I'm not
No.
sure. Wait.
No. No, it's not Jardy. But anyway, they're all doing it to lose weight. And it turns out that the way that this might be working, and I say might because I don't think the info is really solid yet, but the way that it might be working is that it suppresses a portion of your brain that craves things. And so the issue with drug addiction is craving. I know this as an ex-smoker. I still crave a cigarette. I don't smoke anymore, but I still crave one. I mean, sometimes I think about, well, if the crap hits the fan and it really does go all the way south and it's time to flee the country and da-da-da-da-da, maybe I'll just stay here and smoke. I swear, I think about it a lot, like too much. But that's the craving portion of the brain. And if these things that are being developed for people who use it for what is obviously, blind, studied, clinically tried on label reasons, like Ozempic, they know, is good for people who have high blood sugar. It helps control diabetes, and you might lose a few pounds is how they market it, right? But if we find out that the reason why you might lose a few pounds is because it's suppressing the craving for sugar or it's suppressing the craving to overeat, wouldn't that be, well, first of all, be worth billions of dollars? Anything that makes a woman or a man at this point lose weight is billions of dollars. And isn't it interesting that, Vivek wants to be vice president at such a time when, and when people are craving things? Yeah. And there's, a potential for a multi-billion-dollar payday if your drug can be, right now they're using it off-label. But if that becomes a thing, right, it would actually go a long way in the fight against opioids, in the fight against fentanyl, in the fight against, heroin use in this country. It would be manna from heaven. It would be a gift to people who really want to stop but can't do without they have the cravings and they can't manage it. I've seen a lot of people quit a lot of things, and I know that is the impediment. It's not that they don't care about themselves. It's not that they don't want to live. It's not that at all. It's the cravings are so overwhelming. Anyway, Ron doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to investigate the demand side. He just wants to shoot things at the border in an extrajudicial manner, which is very, very, very Nazi. It's very fascist. It's very Duterte. It's very lawless. It's a free-for-all, okay? It is just shoot first and ask questions later, and it's also a lie because drugs come in through legal ports of entry. Right. Damn.
Mary had a little man. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America. From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today.
Change has come to America. Believe me.
Help is on the way. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Oh my God, everybody, listen to this.
After months of deliberation and long conversation with my family, I believe in my heart of hearts that I have accomplished what I set out to do for West Virginia. I have made one of the toughest decisions of my life and decided that I will not be running for re-election to the United States Senate. But what I will be doing is traveling the country and speaking out to see if there is an interest in creating a movement to mobilize the middle and bring Americans together.
Okay, here's my prediction. I actually wrote it on my blackboard, okay? It says Joe Manchin is running for president as an independent November 9th, 2023. That's what I wrote during the break on my blackboard that I have here. You know why? No labels. No labels. I'm telling you right now, Nancy Jacobson and Mark Penn, Jabba the Hutt, as, I refer to him, this no label. I know them. I've actually eaten dinner in their freaking dining room in their Georgetown salon. Okay, with the you don't even want to know. It's my skin crawled. Okay, I have a visceral reaction to evil. I just do. My skin crawls. I get the ooty-gots. My stomach flips. I had it when I was in the same room with Roger Ailes at a Fox party that I was brought to by the president of my company. I had it when I met Laura Ingraham, and I had it when I was in Mark Penn's house, okay? It's just a sickening feeling that you're in the presence of a devil, like you're in the presence of evil.
I'm telling you, Randy, that's how I felt when I met Roger Stone at that party I went to a couple of years ago.
Right.
As soon as I saw him and got near him, I'm like, what is, the air got thick or something. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's real. It's real. And now people who don't believe in, good and evil, or don't believe in a spirit world, or don't believe that, that is possible for whatever reason, you're entitled. I'm telling you, I can feel it. And I feel it around those people. And I know that Manchin has gone to their house many, many times, and that they are looking for somebody to head the no labels ticket so they can fundraise, because that's their business. It's what they do. That is their business. It's how they make money. It's sick, but it's true. And I got a funny feeling that Joe Manchin looked at the coal industry, which he is a beneficiary of, right? He had a coal brokerage company. And I think that the number of dollars that he's worth is somewhere around, and you never really know. It's so fungible, as we're finding out in the Trump trial. But I think he's probably worth somewhere in the area of $5 million, okay? It's a nice chunk of change. I mean, that's enough to retire on in West Virginia for about 12 lifetimes. Okay. But I think he sees that that's the end of the road for his particular chosen field of business. And so now he wants one last hurrah, and running for president as an independent with no labels, fundraising for him, that could produce a wonderful payday for him. And then no more, having to, because, and also it suits him to be an upstart. It suits him to overturn the apple cart. It suits him to disrupt. It's what makes him happy. You know who else is like that? Kirsten Sinema. She's like that too. She gets off on it. So I'm predicting today that the reason why Joe Manchin decided to announce that he's not running for re-election to his Senate seat in West Virginia, which, by the way, what does that mean? What does that mean for 2024? What does that mean? West Virginia, you're going to have to recruit somebody, and you're going to have to recruit somebody that doesn't believe in, getting like in the middle of your life with contraception and reproduction and every other thing that's up for grabs with these crazy kooky people. But anyway, I predict that's what he's doing. I think so. And that's why he said, so what I'll be doing is I'm going to be traveling around the country, taking people's temperature anally, the old-fashioned way, to get an accurate reading on whether or not there's room to start a movement.
And I don't mean to jump you with this question, but so which base do you think he would draw more from if that were the case?
He would draw from moderates. He would draw from disaffected Trump voters. If Trump's not on the ballot, they might be okay with him. They just might. It's interesting. Like they say that Robert Kennedy Jr., who's trying for this position too, trying for this slot. They say Robert would pull more from Trump only because Trump's got the anti-vaxxers, which is hysterical. I mean, that is just so voting against your own best interest, because here's Donald Trump that presided over the COVID epidemic and, started this thing called warp speed to move the FDA into approving a vaccine for COVID faster than a speeding bullet, right? And they're against vaccines. So they believe that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., with his position on vaccines being being a definite no against all vaccines, like bring back polio should be his slogan. Robert F. Kennedy for president, bring back polio, make polio great again. I don't know, one of those. Anyway, they say he pulls from Trump. I don't know who Manchin would pull from, but I will tell you he's electable in a red state. Obviously, he just, he's been a Democratic senator from a red state for a really long time. So my natural inclination is to tell you Trump. All right, Michael in South Carolina.
I was taking a phone call.
Hello, Randy.
I saw that, but that's like you can't start a conversation and then wander away.
That's exactly.
Sorry about that.
No, not you,
Nikki
Michael.
Haley.
Not you. Brett did that. He asked me a question and then left the room.
I did.
Okay.
Go ahead.
About Nikki Haley.
Yes.
She graduated from Clemson University in 1994 with a BS in accounting.
Yes.
She went to school, or she went to work as the bookkeeper for her parents' clothing shop, whatever. She deducted taxes from the employees, but never paid them the taxes to the government.
Is that right?
That is correct.
That is so Republican.
Yes, she paid fines. She pled guilty and paid fines for that. She had a BS in accounting from Clemson.
I know. It's where she met her husband, Michael, who made her anti-abortion because Michael was adopted when he was 3 or some such crap. Oh, and by the way, for Vivek, for his attack on Nikki, so Nikki Haley's daughter is a nurse and very married and in her 20s. So what was he picking on the daughter for? I mean, they're eating each other, Michael.
Amoeba? Do they eat themselves? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. But, I mean, this is just so... It was so bizarre last night to watch the cruelty being, elevated on purpose, like outdoing each other, like who would they kill faster? I'll go to the northern border. Vivek actually said he wanted to go to the northern border and build a wall on the northern border. DeSantis was like, I will build the wall after long last, and Mexico will pay for it. I'm like, why are you rehashing that little nugget? I mean, that thing failed miserably. It's so insane.
Right, yeah, because that was such a winner for them.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, and I figured it out. Well, tax remittances, like when people here are working and they're sending money home to their poor families in Mexico, sending money home to their poor mom or to their poor disabled dad in Mexico, we'll tax that, and that's how we'll pay for the wall. I mean, this is so disgustingly cruel. It's unbelievable. And then they up the ante into straight up killing. We'll just kill him. We'll just shoot him. We'll shoot him dead. And it's such a lie because, like I said, drugs come through legal ports in trucks.
Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Randy?
Yeah. All right. You want to see the unhinged son? This was last night. Okay. This is so bizarre. It's beyond description how sick this Hialeah rally was yesterday. We had to bleep it. Okay, put it that way. We had to bleep it, but. The DeSantis wants to go to the border and shoot people at the border because if he suspects, I mean, there's no trial. He's a lawyer too, and it's very creepy. But he wants to extrajudicially kill people he suspects are immigrants coming here applying for asylum with fentanyl in their backpacks, because if you were a big ass drug dealer, of course you would give your fentanyl to some poor Guatemalan mother with a 2-year-old to schlep, right? Of course you would do that instead of putting it on a truck that's going to go get waved through the legal port of entry. Of course, right? Because you're an idiot. Anyway, that's who he wants to shoot. And Junior here, he's preaching to this audience with his back to the camera. This is so unbelievable. That he wants to shoot. He wants to kill people too. But the people he wants to kill are people who steal from high-end department stores. You know that flash mob thing for shoplifting, which is really organized and freaky, and it's been going on since the Black Lives Matter crap. And it was going on during the Black Lives Matter protests on purpose so that, Republicans could point to that and say, see, this is who everybody is, which was racist. Okay. But Junior's doing it right here too, okay, with these flash mobs. And he wants to kill them. So in order to get the crowd to agree to kill shoplifters, he has to tie them to social justice movements, right? Okay, so this is him.
They can loot, riot, steal, murder. But no, in the name of social justice, it's different. It's fine. You know? Yeah, I mean, the Gucci shoes that they stole, that's totally fine. It was for social justice. It's different.
What?
Just trying to figure that one out, right?
You have no idea what you're talking about, do you?
I'm trying. You may do a better job of this than me, sir. But think about that. Think of the people right now in the last couple of months who've been sentenced to 20 years in jail.
Oh,
for peacefully protesting.
Yes, that was very peaceful.
Meanwhile, I'm watching anti-Semites chanting for genocide at some of the finest universities. I say finest in air quotes because at this point, they're full of shit.
Okay. So he's tying shoplifters to black social justice movements. And the audience is like totally all about it. And then he downshifts into anti-Semitism at elite schools, which, by the way, were always anti-Semitic. You know, Harvard, I posted something in this is really weird, but so I was reading, I think it was the Washington Post last night, and there was a conversation about Ron DeSantis and turning, that liberal arts school up in northern Florida, turning that into some, elite school and recruiting athletes for a school that has no sports. It's a very twisted thing he's doing just in order to take the kids that go there now who are pretty granola. Do you know what I mean? They're very misunderstood in the normal realm of higher education. And so they've chosen this school where they can, be themselves. It's a very liberal art school. And Ron DeSantis took it over and fired everybody and is now trying to get professors, trying to get teachers to teach there. The turnover there is like 40% because nobody wants to be part of this thing because it's all fake, it's all fraud. So somebody was asking about what's the difference between this and Harvard. And so I had to post. I had to. And so I showed them that Harvard, they were saying Harvard's always been, Harvard is so anti-Semitic now. How did that happen? Harvard's always been anti-Semitic, okay? You had the president of Harvard, I think the first year he was there was like 1909. But the president of Harvard from 1909 to 1933 was a rabid anti-Semite. He was a racist. He was an anti-Semite. He also, he wouldn't let black students live in Harvard Yard or walk through Harvard Yard. Jewish, he's the one who invented the quota for Jewish students at Harvard. He set it at 15%, okay? And he also purged gay people from Harvard. That's who he is, okay? And there was a portrait of him. There's a building called Lowell House. His name is Abbott Lowell. So in Lowell House, named after said anti-Semite, racist, anti-gay, homophobic Mr. Lowell, was a portrait of him and his wife over the breakfast area in Lowell House, which is residential housing. And it was like only 86 years later that they decided maybe we should take his portrait and his wife's portrait down. And they said, because we need to talk about him, but we don't need to look at him while we're eating our Cheerios. But again, there's still Lowell House, and there's another portrait of him in the university proper, okay? So when people wonder, how did this happen? It's because it's always been this way. Just a little history. Andy in California. Andy?
Oh, hey.
Hey.
You were talking about being in the presence of evil.
Yes.
I was working on remodeling a hotel in San Francisco Pretty big hotel, pretty big staff. I was there a long time. Got real friendly with everybody. Right? I go in one day, and everyone's like freaked out. Like everyone's skin is crawling. The vibe is heavy, evil nastiness, you know. And everyone's acting just totally weird. Everyone's uptight, scrunched up, you know. It's like, ugh. And I asked one of the women who worked there, I said, what gives? What's with everybody today? And she looked at me and she goes, Dick Cheney is here. You know, and the whole place, a 10-story fancy hotel, everyone was just
they could feel it.
Freaked out. Oh, yeah, you could feel it. You could feel it in the elevator in the basement when I walked in. Instantly, it's like, what's the problem? So, yeah, it's for real.
It is for real for me, and it is for real for you, apparently, and it is for real for Brett. Brett had it when he was in a room with Roger Stone, and I've had it, too, you know, more than once, so.
Yeah, it happens. But this was like a staff of 125 people. Every person, just like, oh my God,
something's going on. Yeah, something feels.
Yeah,
really
the next
dark.
day everything's fine.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Anyway, okay, gotta go. Bye.
Thanks, Andy. Don't fear the Reaper. We can be like they are. Come on, baby. We'll be able to fly. No, I'm serious. It for me, for Andy, for 120 people in that hotel. I'm going. You know, I'm taking him at his word. Brett too. We feel evil. We do.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
The battle for Gaza City. New video released by Hamas claiming to show fierce clashes there. ABC News can't confirm when or where these images were filmed. The Israeli military also releasing videos they say shows their expanding operations on the ground and in the air, unleashing a mass exodus of people fleeing to the south of Gaza along a civilian evacuation corridor open for a few hours Wednesday. 50,000 in all, according to the Israeli military, as the death toll soars, including more than 4,300 children, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. This comes amid ongoing negotiations for the release of some of the 239 hostages taken during the October 7th massacre of more than 1,400 in Israel. A source in the Prime Minister's office telling ABC News Israel is considering a plan by Egypt and Qatar for a humanitarian pause in exchange for a hostage release. No deal so far, but a Hamas spokesperson saying they are open to a potential deal.
We are ready to release all the civilians and foreigners in accepting an immediate comprehensive ceasefire along the whole Gaza Strip.
Prime Minister Netanyahu ruling that out, saying there'll be no ceasefire without the release of our hostages. And for their families, a long, agonizing wait. Rachel Goldberg's son, Hirsch, is one of the missing.
His last cell phone signal was October 7th at 10:25 in the morning inside of Gaza, and that is it. The end. Nothing. Silence.
Hirsch was kidnapped during the deadly attack on the Nova Music Festival. This is one of the last images of him. He lost part of his arm when grenades were thrown into the shelter where he was hiding.
It is a long, long time for families not to sleep, to be in a frantic state of fear and terror and trauma. And that's where we are.
Don't pay attention to that. No. If you're a liberal, you're not allowed to pay attention to the hostages. You're not allowed to pay attention to the tens of hundreds of people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who were slaughtered, maimed, mangled, mutilated, slaughtered in front of their children, in front of their friends, in front of their parents. You're not allowed to pay attention to that. You must side with the terrorist organization who is using mass murder, rape, beheading, kidnapping of babies as a legit form of resistance. I mean, some people on the hard left have gone so far to the left that they are now on the right. You know, it's amazing to me. It really is. But, you know, I'm sorry. I can't not pay attention to the victims of a terrorist attack and that they're still being held hostage. I just can't make myself forget that. I guess I should try so I could get along again with some of my brethren. But I can't. You know, I just can't. And I can't take the side of a terrorist organization. I just can't. Just cannot. But I will tell you how proud I am of Joe Biden and Antony Blinken and the whole crew, Austin, all of them, the State Department, the Department of Defense, negotiating for not just a pause, okay, but a daily 4-hour pause and a protected humanitarian corridor for the innocent civilians who are also being victimized by Hamas, except on the other side of the border. That is a legitimate care. And the President of the United States and I share it. Isn't that amazing? That I can actually be a liberal and support the President of the United States. Wow. Who happens to be from the same party as me. But for some people, that's just not even a connection. That's not even something that you ought to, give credit. No, just, gloss over the fact that we had to work twice as hard, especially in gerrymandered districts, to get half as many people in Congress as the Republicans do. And we did it. And they have a majority by 3 seats now. 3. And we're not supposed to be proud of any of our accomplishments. We're supposed to just get down in the mud and trash the President of the United States of America that is more like FDR than any other president in my lifetime, okay? And so he was able to negotiate, and he confirmed it today, that he was able to persuade extremist, racist, right-winger Bibi Netanyahu for, they were asking for a 3-day pause, and they negotiated a 4-hour-a-day humanitarian pause for the innocent people in Gaza so that they can get out of harm's way, so that we can direct them to safe zones where also we will deliver humanitarian aid. I think 100 trucks went in today. 100. That's almost normal, okay? 100 a day would be okay. And 50,000 people were able to get out of harm's way in northern Gaza yesterday. They were carrying a white T-shirt, anything white that they could carry to show that they were unarmed. They were putting their hands up in the air as complete and utter proof that they were unarmed and that they were innocents and that they were trying to get their children and their elderly parents out of harm's way. 50,000 of them were moved out of harm's way yesterday. If it wasn't for our president, if it wasn't for us using the leverage that we have because we actually give aid to the only democracy in the Middle East that is currently headed up by a right-wing lunatic and a crazy extremist party that is infused with bad religious ideas, it is. Which is no better than, watching us go down this. Did you see last night poor Tim Scott on the stage? Should have brought him up with the South Carolina caller. But poor Tim Scott, there he was on the stage going, I'm here too. I'm here too. Oh, okay. So, Tim, what would you do if you were president? I'd bring back the Bible. Yeah, well, it goes on over there too. Yeah, extremism. So, thank you to the President of the United States of America. Thank you very much for getting pauses in hostilities so that the innocents can get out of the way of the war. I mean, I think that's an amazing achievement. And it's just about a month in, and it's happened. So listen, I don't know what people think war looks like. I don't know. And I don't know why people are defending a group that knew that if they killed more than 1,000 people in the morning, this is what it would look like in retaliation for that, especially in this government that they have now over there defending them. It's like a mental illness almost. It really is. And, what's interesting, Jared Moskowitz, who is my House member now, he went on Fox News to be heard. It's really kind of interesting. He's a Democrat. We elected him. We like him. He's effective. But he had to go on Fox News to say the people that are tearing down the hostage posters, They look mentally ill.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844.
Randi?
That's 561-270-3844.
Randi?
I don't know what it is. It's like a mental illness that we are seeing with people on the streets, that they see these posters and they just feel that they have to tear them down. I'm meeting with families here in Washington, D.C., whose kids are missing, whose babies are missing, whose sisters are missing, husbands are missing. They're held hostage in Gaza. And look, you have a right to protest in this country. You have a right to free speech. But we also have a right to respond and call these people out. Something is clearly wrong right now with the youth of America, that they think it's acceptable when someone has been kidnapped to try to erase that person. Like, they can't look at them and they just must tear it down.
Right.
And so, you know, this is a big problem right now for the Jewish community. We're seeing anti-Semitism, record highs in the United States, people going to protests with signs that say kill the Jews, gas the Jews, cleanse the Jews. Look, you can be for a ceasefire. You can criticize the Israeli government. But to be clear, when you're talking about removing Jews from the earth, that is hatred that we have not seen since the Holocaust, and we are never going back. Jews are going to speak up. We are going to fight back. We have learned from history, and we're done being silent when we see this level of hatred.
It's Jared Moskowitz. That's if you live in Fort Lauderdale, he's your member of Congress now, and you know he's absolutely right. And this is all happening on social media. You know, this is like the TikTok thing, where you must erase the people that won't support your love for the terrorist organization Hamas. You have to erase them. And I mean, you had a literal public defender in New York. She was in that video there, ripping down posters of children that were kidnapped and are still held hostage by a terrorist organization. Ripping down the poster in an effort to erase them, in an effort to pretend it didn't happen, because you can't, it's cognitive dissonance on the left now. You can't have two ideas in your head at the same time. You can't be for Hamas and look at the people that they kidnapped, the children that they kidnapped, or the senior citizens, the elderly grandmas that they kidnapped. You must erase the evidence of the kidnapping. It's very twisted, but it's happening. It's on, man. It really is. And I know it's happening on social media, and so does everybody else. And that's why last night the question about TikTok came up. Like, what would you do? Because the Chinese government is not only data mining every single one of our kids that is on that platform. They're getting all. Can you imagine? I mean, think about it in reverse, okay? In China, you can't even have full fettered access to the internet, let alone Facebook, okay, or Twitter, even though that is a sewer now, too. Elon was so able in his business acumen to take a company worth $44 billion and turn it into a company worth less than half of that. Woohoo! These guys are great at business, aren't they? But, yeah, so you can't have an unfettered, unfiltered, unmoderated, uncensored social media platform in China, but China can have the run of our country and collect all the data on our children and collect all their likes and dislikes, and then create algorithms to feed them even more and to shove them into the rabbit hole deeper and deeper till they can't figure out what's real and what's not, and what needs tending to in this world and what doesn't. I mean, it's so amazing. It's like way, way back when my grandma, I'm talking about, Mary, who I look exactly like. She was a flapper in the 1920s. And so, you know, you could do the dance if you want, but she partied. She was a very, very devout party girl back in the day. And she knew where all the opium dens were. She's the first person that ever told me why marijuana was made illegal in 1938, and it was because of the war and, nylon and the DuPont company. They wanted to sell to the Navy nylon rope and replace hemp rope, so they tried to figure out some sort of a technique using our government's power of taxation to get hemp off of the can buy list. Anyway, she told me that, that the people in communist countries, the people, that lived, in closed societies, believed that opium, was the opiate of the masses. They believed that, a religion was the opiate of the masses. And then she said, no, it's not religion that's the opiate of the masses. It's opium is the opiate of the masses. And she was very funny, but she was very right even back then. So now it's TikTok. Okay, now it's a new addiction. It's swiping. It's a thing. And the kids are being propagandized into rooting for the worst people on the planet. And it's global. You can see it. You can see people out on the street advocating for a terrorist organization. I mean, it's so amazing. And when you talk to them, they go, Hamas is not a terrorist organization. Hamas is for the people. Hamas is all they got. You know what? It's just like, wow, that's amazing. I mean, you understand that the reason why innocent Palestinians suffer the way that they do is because Hamas has stolen all their money, just like Tate Reeves in Mississippi. How's that for a segue, Joseph?
Hey, pretty good, man. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, this guy, given the history of the sweltering hatred over in this state, I thought that the people over there would actually would take everything in account and go with the Presley fellow. Are you surprised about that move, or what you think about that?
What are you asking me?
Well, I'm asking that knowing that the sweltering hatred that goes on over in Mississippi.
Mississippi. Oh, okay.
Tate Reeves.
Yeah, Tater.
You would think that. I imagine just as many people, white folks over there on government assistance as there are black. I would think that.
So you're asking me, what do I think about Tater stealing the welfare money and giving it to Brett Favre's brother?
No, I would think that the people would have voted for the Presley fellow.
Some people with sense in their brains did vote for him. He did much better than any Democrat I've seen in a long time. Mr. Presley did, but he couldn't win Mississippi. Mississippi's gonna, we won everywhere except for Mississippi. What does that tell you, Joseph?
That tells me that the sweltering hatred continues.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you this. You have in Mississippi the second most despised governor in the entire United States. Tate Reeves is almost say the most despised governor in the land, but he's only number 2. And he still won. And, part of it is, and I'll say this as many times as I have to, why is it that the same places in Alabama and Mississippi always run out of ballots right in the middle of an election day? What is that, do you think?
But it's just continuation of the racism and hatred that goes on over in those states.
Count the soap bubbles.
I love you, man. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I know he's nervous. I could tell.
He was way more calm,
scared.
collected with me.
I went to him very suddenly, I will say.
Yes.
So, but that's my
you did great,
style.
Joseph. Thank you, Joseph.
That's my style. I could just pick you up at any time. It's my power, my superpower. No, but I know that he was worried about why could this man, who is such a criminal, why this man was able to get reelected when every Republican, almost to a man, across the board lost yesterday. Like entire legislatures flipped, except for Mississippi. Well, I want you to hang on to this notion, Joseph. I want you to realize that Jackson, Mississippi always runs out of ballots on election day. What is that about? Why are the lines always 11 hours in Fulton County, Georgia? That's Atlanta. Why do you always run out of ballots in Jackson, Mississippi? Why? Why does that happen every single election? I was watching this woman, somebody on Twitter posted it, that she was just trying so hard to get the ballots to the people, and they would only deliver 100 ballots to her per hour, and the lines were hundreds of people long. In freaking western Mississippi, people waited on lines for hours because there were no ballots, but they waited. Seems to me like either cheating to win is a thing now, or denying that they lost is a thing.